Okay guys, hey, sorry about that, my video got cut off. But basically, you gotta have a tall ratchet arm here sticking up so you can get this free once it's jammed up against the brake rotor. Anyways, what I also checked was, and I don't know how much of this showed up on the last video, but a nut you're gonna hate is this one here. It's a 21 also. But man, getting that thing loose is hell. It's just super tight. It gets rusted on the end. You might want to hit it with some PB Blaster or something. That might help. I don't know. You're just going to be hating life on that, and it just is what it is. I got through that using a cheater. I put a pipe on the end of my ratchet. I had a pry bar on the other back side. I mean, it's one of those nuts that when they come off, man, they sound like they're haunted. I mean, this thing was squealing and just making noise. It was nasty getting that out. But keep trying at it, you'll get it out. The other thing I want to let you know is the main thing that was driving me nuts on this connection here, this air connection with the brass fitting. It's a 10 millimeter, and that was not in their video. And the way you get this free, now here's what I'm thinking. You don't use any of the brass fittings for the new R-Knot install, okay? They give you a new fitting. Here it is. And 10 millimeter. Now, one of the things they also leave out in their install video, when they tell you to install this on their spring, okay? You do that, but then when you're about to put the airline in, you see there's a little white piece of plastic here on the end of their new connector. You have to pull that out. That is a plug for packaging material. It's not part of the install, so that comes out, but leave it in until you're ready to install the plastic line, airline there. So you can see there's no, and it does some sort of, it has some locking mechanism, so as soon as you slide it in, it locks. But anyways, it's a 10 millimeter. So the trick that I found to get this thing loose is, because it's at such a crazy angle here, you got to reach in, you got the airline in your way. What I did is I actually took my needle nose pliers. Let me try to show you what I did here, guys. And I did something like this. So I had it in there and then turned it, and so that's what it took for me to get that thing loose. Now once you snap it loose a little bit, you should be able to just reach in with needle nose and twist it out the rest of the way. Now here's my thoughts on that. I'm kind of anal about stuff, so when I do the other side, I'll probably do the same thing that I just told you, but I think you could probably just snip the end and leave the whole brass fitting in there. There's enough play, as long as you have your line, your airline isn't too tight coming, you know, as long as you got a little play here in this, I don't think it's going to hurt you to lose a couple millimeters. You just leave it in the thing and just cut it free. But I'm anal about stuff, so I probably won't do that. I'm probably going to try to get it free with the 10 millimeter and the needle nose. But if you get fed up with it, you know, if somebody else tries this and they get fed up with it and they cut it free and you get a good result, comment on the video, man. Let us know. I'm not going to do that, I don't think, unless it really pisses me off and I get fed up. I'll just cut it, you know, and if I do, I'll put a comment on the video when I do the other side. Also, you can see I've got the liner out of the wheel. I don't think you need to do that. I had that out for another reason. I was working with my evap stuff, checking it out. So I don't think that's required. I just happen to have it out. So you guys may have to see if you can, if all this is visible here the same way with or without the dust or the liner, then you probably can just leave your liner in. Okay, let's see. I think that's all I wanted to cover, guys. You're gonna need pry bar at one point or another for something. You're gonna need a pipe or some cheater, probably. You're gonna find a lot of these suspension bolts are so tight, and nuts. You're gonna need a breaker bar. You need the 12, the 10 hex key, 21 millimeter wrench. Oh, also you're going to need 5/16, or no, not 5/16, 5/8, I believe it was. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, the 5/8 wrench. I used I used that a bunch too. I can't think offhand what I think it's a 16 millimeter is the equivalent on that. So it's probably really a 16 millimeter, but I didn't have a 16 millimeter wrench. You know, again, you know, most kits come with 15 and then 17. Anyways, so yeah, you're going to use that a lot. So just a lot of weird sizes, guys. 5/8, 18 millimeter, 16 millimeter. Like I said, I think those are interchangeable. The 5/8, 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter hex. One other thing you're going to find, when you get this guidler arm loose, be careful, guys. This thing is under some pressure, a little bit of pressure on the suspension, and it may pop up. So be careful when you're getting it loose. I don't want you to hit a finger or get hit in the face with it or something. It kind of has a snap that it lets when it lets loose. It's not too bad, but it might, you know, could bleed your fingernail or something if it hits you wrong. So watch out for that. Also, the other thing you're going to find is when I was working on this at first, I had it jacked up under the rear. I didn't have it on the jack spring. I know that's a bad idea, but that's the way I was doing it. And when I was trying to put this guidler arm back in, it didn't line up just right. So you're going to find with all these suspension components, if you're trying to get something together and it's not lining up just right, just move your jack stand, adjust something, jack it back up. You're going to find there's going to be minor tweaks in the suspension or minor flex in the body that if you give it a different, you know, holding point where you're with your jack stand or something like that, you'll find that whatever wouldn't line up before will probably line up then. My last and final hint for you too is, before you try doing these big bolts down here, like at the bottom and all, you got to let the air pressure loose first. So what I said before about either cutting this loose or at minimum, oh, and the other hint on this 10 millimeter, I did this last. I didn't even work on this thing until I had the spring almost out of the vehicle, because it's just such a tough angle. You can see where it is. I mean, you can't even get a wrench in there. It looks okay here with the R-knot spring, but let me tell you guys, with this part of the body right here, it's nearly impossible to get to that 10 millimeter. So I left that connected till almost at the end, and as I'm pulling the other one out, and I had this cut loose, I had the electric connector unhooked, and this was halfway out of the vehicle. I put it at an angle, and then I could get to this. So, but whatever you do, before you start trying to get this bigger stuff loose, you may think, oh, your airbag has a leak in it, there's no pressure in there. There's still pressure in there. It leaks when it's got 2,000 pounds on it. But when it's up in the air, there's no pressure on it. So it's holding a lot of air. So you're going to want to release that air, which means before you start trying to do a lot of stuff with this, you either got to cut this loose, you got to get this clamp free somehow, or on the other side, I suppose, or you gotta release this 10 millimeter air fitting. There's a part in their video when they say to like step 2, I think, to unhook this airline. Yeah, you gotta do it then. That's when the air pressure has to come free. Otherwise, every one of those other suspension bolts are gonna be under pressure, and you're gonna have a hell trying to get those things out. So early on, you gotta release the air pressure from that airbag. All right, guys, that's all I got. I hope this helps. somebody else knock out this job quicker than I did. I'm sure my second side will be quicker. But if you have any other questions or any other hints for anybody else doing it, yeah, add comments on the video. All right, take care, guys. Thanks. Bye.